Welcome to the Interactive Knowledge Exchange podcast series at the Dwarkadis Holistic Center, where we invite a thought leader and pioneers to share their wisdom on the topics that bridge the gap between the esoteric and the everyday. Today, we have the privilege of hosting Dr. Vipin Gupta, a distinguished voice in the realm of spirituality and consciousness. Dr. Gupta brings him a rich tapestry of the insight of Arhatva, the qualification of consciousness, challenging us to reflect on the sources of our learning and the pathway of our spiritual evolution. In this session, Dr. Gupta is unraveled the complex dynamics between our role as individuals in shaping our faith, the power of our intellect, and journey of transcending state of unique self with the thread of universal self. To be the primordial self by realizing our firm self. His thoughtful, provoking dialogues is a set to ignite a deeper understanding of our existence and working of our inner consciousness. As you tune in tune, we encourage you to ponder the question and engage with the Dr. Gupta's profound narratives. Together, we aim to create an open platform for a knowledge sharing that not only enlightens empowers us to take an active role in our personal growth and collective enlightenment. We are thrilled to have you with us for what promises to be transformative session. Let's embark on this journey of discovery with Dr. Vipin Gupta. Welcome, Vipin Gupta. Dr. Vipin Gupta.
Good morning, Dhwani ji.
Good morning. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that introduction.
Yeah. Now, the last sessions, it was there, and with that, you have created a lot of curiosity in the people's mind also, that exactly what we understand as a mind, and we are following the thoughts. Instead of that, you have made it very clear that if we follow the mind, we are the servant of the mind, and mind is a master. At that point of time, we are going distracted by ourselves. We are not able to connect with ourselves, which should be our a primary focus needs to be there, that we should not be connected whatever act we are doing it. But if the mind is taken as a servant, means he has to bring the informations and give us in the whatever the information it has been collected. If we are master of the mind, we can get the maximum information from the objective world, and at the same time we can have our introspections and looking into the introspection, connecting with ourselves. At that time, mind isn't good as a servant, but not as a master. You have clarified that very beautifully. So we have a few questions with that also, and I will like you to explore on that. The first question is, Dr. Gupta, could you explain the concept of Arhatva and its significance in our understanding consciousness?
Thank you. So you're absolutely right that mind is a great servant, but it's a lousy kind of master. And we discussed the concept of Arhatva, and Arhatva derives from the root Arhat. Arhat means practitioner, one worthy to be the practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
So when one practices trading consciousness from another, one is left with the soul, another exchanged from the consciousness of an entity within some other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a multifaceted process. The practice is that we want to get whatever other has in their consciousness. So we trade consciousness from another. Something that we are not aware. Suppose we practice something that our guru has taught us, then we are trading whatever our guru knows in his or her consciousness that's through our practice, we are trying to develop the same consciousness, same level of consciousness, and same quality of consciousness, and same type of consciousness. With the practice that our guru followed, and we are following a similar practice, so we are trading that consciousness from another. And when we are trading the consciousness from another, we are left with the soul that another exchanged, because even our guru didn't have that consciousness. So guru's consciousness becomes the soul of guru, which is with us, or the parent's consciousness becomes our soul, our paternal soul or maternal soul. But even our parents exchanged that consciousness from entity who resides within some other. That some other is actually the body. So the body embodies the consciousness of the entity who has departed from this world, but is omnipresent within one as a part of one's potential. Now the entity becomes self-luminous to everyone in the body after the death of the divine element. So when we say that who dies, the death is of the divine element. The Divya Tattva is what dies. And when Divya Tattva dies, then the light from the body kind of goes away. And so now I've mentioned several things. So first of all, who is this one? One is actually the intellect. Who is this another? Another is actually the mind. And as I said, some other, the other is the body. And then everyone are the cells in the body. So there's a whole universe of cells in the body. That's everyone. So because it's very important to first understand ourselves, because the same concept is then applicable to when we talk about one and another in a social world, in an outer world. So the relationships are similar. We have to first understand those relationships as they exist within us. And last time we focused on our relationships with the outside world, and I think it will be more meaningful in the context that you have described to understand ourselves, because when you talk about mind as a servant, so the entity is our reality, and the one that you're hearing is not that entity, because that the one who you're hearing is the part of the brain. So that's the intellect who is speaking, or intellect is making our speech center speak. Whatever voice the intellect as the one wants us to hear. So when I say I, that I, the self-luminous entity, is associating that I with my intellect. So that I is the intellect. So the question that has been asked in spirituality by our sages for a long time is, who am I? That I is the intellect. And so I is the creation of that entity, who we are. And that entity has departed because that entity was actually a star, actually a sun. And that sun departed from the physical world and became the entity. And so that entity is now taking this form of the creature. And it has designated several other elements, elements with different roles and responsibilities. So there's a role assigned to intellect, there's a role assigned to mind, there's a role assigned to different cells in the body, there's a role assigned to different other elements in the body.
Yeah, okay. Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
And ask you the questions regarding this, what I have understood, what you have explained till now, okay, into this question is that we have a physical body or manifestations body. In that, the intellect or the self is residing into that as a universal self itself. And the mind is an entity which we have brought it and which has got, I mean, an evolutional things with it. Now, unless we are connected with that intellect, which is within us, which is connected with the universal self also, till the time we are connected with the universal self, this body will be alive, and otherwise the body will not be alive, right?
Uh, okay, so when you say universal self and unique self, the unique self.
No, I'm not talking of universal self, unique self. What I'm saying that what you have said about the intellect, okay, which is that what I have interpreted from your these things, because you have three things into these things are there. Who am I is the intellect of the all connections with the intellect is there. That is what I have understood from your talk. Whatever I
Right. No, so
right,
that's right.
right.
Yeah. So intellect is the I, but
Yes.
is the one who's the actor, who's the protagonist,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's it's well established with the science.
Yeah, 1 minute. The then the one thing is that the intellect, which is connected with the universe, and the body is an actor of the universe, or the intellect is an actor of the universe. That
Very
is
good
what my
question.
question.
Yeah. So intellect is the actor, and that's well established by the science that intellect is one who's acting. So intellect and minds are two parts of the brain. So when we talk about white matter, that's the mental body, and mind resides in the right hemisphere in the mental body. And when we talk about intellect, that's the gray matter, and gray matter is the intellectual body, and intellect resides within the gray matter. So intellect is actually of a black color, and the mind is of the white color, because and that's why kind of the gray matter is gray, because it's a black and white combined. Now intellect is the black color, but that black is just the surface color, but intellect is actually a daughter cell, and daughter cell whose intrinsic color is white, and she's feminine. The mind, and it's interesting that we refer to mind as he, because mind pretends to be a daughter, because he trades the consciousness of the daughter cell, and so he's a sun cell, and he trades the consciousness of the daughter cell, and he gives his masculinity. So mind is the one who is universalizing, and therefore universal self is associated with mind, because mind takes the unique self of the daughter cell and universalizes that. Masculinity is associated with universalization. Masculinity wants to become dominant, and therefore masculinity is always trying to expand itself, and while femininity wants to invest in the masculinity for masculinity to grow. So that's the nature of the mother always invests in the child, so mother nature always invests in her children, and so she wants her children to prosper. So that's why the intellect and so mind takes the femininity of the intellect and shows itself as the white color.
Okay. So still it is very confusing for me, because what you are saying is and the thing is that the intellect is, I mean, and part of the body only. Then who am I to search when we are there? Okay, that becomes, or whatever you say about the unique self to the universal self. Okay, that journey has to be done through this body only, right?
So intellect is not part of the body. Intellect is part of the brain, and so brain is not part of the body. Head is the part of the body. So
No, here I differ. I'm sorry, but here I differ. Brain is a part of the body which is coordinating, which has got the nervous systems and everything, and it has got these things. It can replica of the work can be done through the brain.
Let me
That is where
yeah
I think so. My and your thinking has to come into the common platform. We are using some different words for the common things are there. So if you can explain me, then it will be very easy for
Right.
us to do that thing.
So, when we talk about body, body of course has a brain, but that brain that we say, it has two parts. It has a gray matter and the white matter. It's a left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Now, right hemisphere.
The thing is that that has certain things are there.
So please listen, Dhwaniji, because I am trying to get across something, and so it's important that first you receive what I am saying, and then you react so that I can clarify the perspective. So you agree, and this is established by science, that the body has two parts in the brain, a right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. And the right hemisphere is our creative element, and that creative element is the white matter, and then we have a gray matter. So we have two matters in the brain. Now those white matter and the gray matter, science establishes, are part of the body. So that's why I use the term that white matter is the mental body and the gray matter is the intellectual body. So the body is part of the body. But when we talk about brain, we know our Indian wisdom, all these things are very, they have been, our rishis, munis already knew all these things. They had an intuition about all these things. So our rishi munis have said that whole is more than sum of the parts. So if gray matter and the white matter are part of the body, the whole, the brain, the question is the whole also part of the body? Okay, just because the science interprets, because we want to make sense that we have two elements. We have two elements, the white matter and the gray matter. So what are they called as a whole? As a whole, they are called brain. There's a name to that. Now, would you say that the mind is part of the body? Is intellect part of the body? No, intellect is not part of the body. Intellectual body is part of the body. Mind is not part of the body. Mental body is the part of the body. So mind does not work on its own. Mind works through the body. As you said, body is the medium. Is something that is an instrument through which the intellect acts. So intellect is the actor, but actor does not mean that actor is acting. So we know in law that if somebody is an actor can delegate that action to somebody else. So intellect is the actor who does programming of what performing needs to be done, what needs to be done, and that performing he delegates or she delegates to the physical body or to the body as a whole, right? So the body is then acting on behalf, is acting whatever intellect is saying needs to be done, because intellect processes the inputs intellect receives from the sense organs. And so it processes that, and then it makes a decision. It's a decision maker, it's an actor. It decides that this is what needs to be done. Of course, we have an ability to guide our intellect through a process of maturity. So we need to mature our intellect. The more mature our intellect is, its decisions about what performance the body needs to do is going to be more accurate and more assertive, so that the body actually listens to whatever intellect is saying.
Okay, now I understood that what you are saying, gray and the white part is the two parts of the brain, and when it becomes a one, it is, you may call it you may call it something like a brain, but I will like to have that word as a, so that it should not create a conflict behind that. So I will put it into consciousness,
sure,
which has got a command on the both the brain and holds both the brain together, right?
Sure.
Consciousness, right? Okay, and that's how the things are, working as a human being. Now I understood correctly?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So with that, okay, we will go that how do you see the roles of divine parents and the gurus conversing the evolution as an individual consciousness, as you have spoken these things about right now also, that our guru and the parent has a very important roles in our life. Like, you have said that the parent has given us the birth, so not only they are giving us some kind of an environment to brought up our body, but we are imbibing their impression also within us, and we try to develop that also. And regarding the guru, whatever the knowledge guru has, and whatever his behavior is, that we are imbibing that knowledge through that behavior is that, and that is how that our individual consciousness will start developing inside this body. So can you explain these things in details through this question?
Yes.
That,
So let me again start by helping clarify kind of how it works in ourselves, within us, before, and then we can reflect on how it manifests in the outer world. So within us, as I said, the mind is a sun cell, but that sun cell, the body has many sun cells, and body has many daughter cells. But the mind is a particular type of sun cell, which is the primordial sun cell. And when we say primordial translates in Hindi as Uttam. So Uttam means it's the quality of that Uttam is what is then reproduced by everyone. So whatever is the quality of our mind as a primordial sun cell, that's the quality that the mind expects all the sun cells in the body to have. Similarly, whatever is the quality of the daughter cell who is performing the role of the intellect, that daughter cell is the primordial daughter cell. Now that primordial daughter cell is part of the body, but she's performing the role of the intellect. Right. So she has been assigned that you identify yourself with the intellect and you act as an intellect. That one is the primordial daughter cell. So again, Uttam daughter cell, who is the intellect is saying that I have shown through my maturity that I am Uttam, and therefore everybody should follow my command.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now these daughter and sons are actually have a mother, and that mother is the brain. And so what's happening is that essentially this brain has the divine element. So the Divya Tattva is in the brain, which our brain is gifting to the daughter, to the intellect, so that intellect can express our divinity through the decision that the intellect is making. Right. So our mother is one which is gifting us with the divinity. The Mother Nature, all females, the invisible goddesses are the ones which are giving us divinity. But what then the male element is doing is to reproduce the gifts which have been given by Mother Nature, by goddesses, by our brain. So we reproduce that. The reproductive element is the guru. So what the mind does is mind tries to reproduce that in different forms by expanding in different directions, always thinking of new things, by creating new things. Because
can I interpret over here?
Sure.
Just interrupting. So what till now, whatever you have made us, you have explained, and what I have understood. Okay, is a one that is what I will like to, so that when you expand on that, you will have a more clarity what right now I have understood.
Sure.
Okay, on that context I'm asking. The parent, the divine parent, you have explained that the son cells and the daughter cells are there in our body, is that okay? Or we can call it as a feminine energy or the male energy. Everybody has it. They have that even that kind of an quality within them, and they create that body, whether it is a male body or the female body. Scientifically, it has been proved by that. Right now, when the individual cell has their own function, is that at the same time the whole body, when it is functioning, it has got a collective function also,
Right.
which has been, the order has been given to the feminine energy through the male energy, and through that the body acts, and that is been conversion is been done at the approval or whatever it has been. You say the gurus is conversing all these things to make it possible to understand the law of the universe, what the how this transformation has been taken place. If I have understood correctly,
you
or
actually
the correction is,
no
corrected.
you put it very well. It was beautifully interpreted, because not many people will interpret the way you have done, because that's the correct interpretation. That's absolutely correct. Each and every word that you said was absolutely correct.
Correct. No, okay. So if we will put it in this way, as I told you, Dr. Vipin, that we have to use the language by which people are familiar. If they are not familiar, it will be very difficult for them to understand what is really essence of what you are delivering right now. Okay, and how that much of that importance we have in our day-to-day life is that. That is why whatever I am some point of time I interrupt you, that male and female energy is there, which is controlling this body, is that through that the male gives the command to the female, they harmonize with each other, and they have by making an union, they will connect themselves to the higher wisdom called the guru. Whatever you say, name can be anything, and when it has been connected with that, or a primordial self, means the person who has understood the law of these things, who has got who are living with the morality of the universe, is that okay, they can understand this, or they are able to make the harmony between all these three, right?
Yes. So let me just clarify one thing, that that the science has proven that the female element is the X chromosome, and the male element is the Y chromosome. And so in the male body, in the humans and animals, X and Y chromosomes are there. So there's both female and the male element, they are visible. In the female body, the Y chromosome is dormant, because female has a ability when she has the child, a son, to create that, to make that dormant Y, which was her potential, the masculine potential within her, to gift it to the child. So when she is carrying the child in her body, and the child is a male, then within her body there is a Y chromosome as well, which is visible. Right? Now what's interesting is that in birds there is no X and Y chromosome. In birds there is a W and Z chromosome. Z means Z. So W and Z chromosome. So W is the female chromosome, so it's not the feminine, it's the female chromosome. And the Z is the male chromosome. Okay, so in the male camp, it comes as ZZ chromosome. In female, it comes as WZ chromosome, so feminine and masculine. And so W is like a whole. So the whole is present in the female, and Z is like a potential. So what female is doing? Female is transferring her potential on the right to the male, And so we just saw there was a bird in Colombia that the scientists found whose left side is female and the right side is the male. So left side is a WZ chromosome and the right side is a ZZ chromosome. So the left side is the one which is transferring masculinity and making masculinity evident in the world. And so that's coming on the right side.
Okay, so another thing is, beautifully you have said that the bird has got the body has itself is divided into half female and the male is there, and not only that, and that's the reason the till the eggs giving the animals are there, they must be having the similar kind of an quality. Then the evolution part, when the woman is carrying the child within them, it is a different kind of X and Y element is there, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, but in general, the whole universe is made of the male and female. The play of the male and female interplay is there, where the generation's capacity is with the male is there, and it will give a command to the female energy, receiving energy, and it has to grow out of that. And that's the reason the womb has got a lot of importance into that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the important comment that you have made, and I want to reiterate that it's the male element which is ordering the female element, because female element has given him the power. So the mother has given the power, the sister has given the power to the brother, and that brother is now using that power. He's demonstrating the use of that power.
Yes. Okay. So now when these things are, coming together and having, certain kind of an interactions or in the silent things, they create an harmony with each other. Unless and until the harmony has been created, the union cannot be, been done. And when the primordial self will be arised out of that, where out of the maturity we call it, we feel that as a human being, we are responsible for having a growth from primordial self to the param self. We are able and capable of realizing that. That is what even I think so. You have slightly, mentioned over in the first things also, that it is our responsibility to connect ourselves to that things, right?
Okay, so let's discuss the primordial self and the param self. And so as I said, primordial means uttam.
Yeah, that is what you have told. But let us right now focus on the one.
Okay, so what you are, yeah. So let me just say that it's not about evolution from primordial self to param self, but it's about evolution or the ascending order development from param self to primordial self. So primordial self is the uttam. There is nothing better than uttam.
Okay. And the param self is what we are when we become mature to understand ourselves?
No. So param self, param means absolute. Absolute means what's present. So as I was saying that in the birds, W is what is present.
One minute. Bird ka baaju mein rakho. Right now, is not important. Right now, this is important. So my understanding is that our journey as a human being is towards the consciousness. Let us put it in the way which generally the people will understand that our journey towards the self is starting from the consciousness is that. Unless we become, realize our param self, we cannot move towards the primordial self, right?
Yes. So because it's important to first be connected with the present. And if we are not connected with the present, we cannot transcend beyond the present, because what's beyond the present is the potential to be primordial.
Yeah, so it is an eternal self is there, which is a primordial self, and the param self is a present self. What
exactly?
We are or who we are, right? Right. Now we can go. Now I started, getting up your language. Connection with your language was very difficult, and I request still you that if we can use the language which people are able to understand, okay, more people will have what essence you have. And that essence, people can know that this is the things that unless we practice it, and that will create a wisdom in us. So whatever professional life we have or whatever the life we are living, which will have a more of a a kind of self-satisfactory things that they will be getting it. So then okay, we will go. Can you elaborate on the transitions of the unique self to the universal self and how we might recognize we are on the right path? That
Very
is also
good.
very important.
Yeah, it's a very important question. So first of all, you have to understand what is unique. So unique is the feminine because in feminine there is, as we said, only X is there. But the masculine is a more diverse system which has both X and Y. So unique self is a unique conscious system. The self is a conscious system, and so it's a conscious system of one. One is the intellect who makes, and because it's a unique self, intellect starts acting like a god, Ishwar. So because Ishwar is only one, we know that Ishwar is a deity who is only one. And so that the unique self, the intellect starts acting like God, which is omnipermeating within another, the mind. So essentially, omnipermeating means that that intellect is permeating both within mind as well as outside mind. So it is permeating as a metaphysical realm. The intellectual realm is a metaphysical realm in both the mental realm and the physical realm. So intellect is making its presence felt both in the mind, in the mental body, as well as in the physical body, in the body as a whole. So therefore, the intellect is omnipermeating and it's permeating in both mental realm and the physical realm. But on the other hand, universal self is the universal conscious system of another, which is the mind. So mind is universalizing itself, and therefore it becomes a universal self. So mind is universalizing intellect's unique conscious system. So whatever mind is perceiving, that intellect knows. So whatever gyan that daughter cell has, the mind want to translate that gyan into knowledge, universal knowledge. Okay. So by universalizing that, the intellect is now becoming almighty creator. That I can. By universalizing its conscious system through the mind, the intellect now takes the role of almighty creator because it can create whatever it wishes based on its abilities. Right. So it's not just about the wish; it's about the abilities that the intellect has, and that's what creates the entire ecosystem which gets created. So essentially the transition from unique self to universal self is natural. We don't need to make any effort because essentially that intellect is gifted with that unique ability, and so that drives that unique conscious system, and the mind is designated to universalize that by thinking of new ideas, creating new spirits about what we should be doing. So they both work independent of the entity who we are. So we are the entity. So if you are focused on the transition, then it is easy for anyone to recognize that we are not on the right path because that is being done naturally. Okay, the one who recognizes that we are not on the right path is the guide, the guru. So who is the guru? Guru actually, you asked earlier the question of, I said the mother is the brain, but who is the father in our body? The father is our sense organs, because sense organs father whatever reality we have. So sense organs provide the input. So that input is then processed by the intellect, by the son, by the daughter, by the daughter, and given to the mind to use further as an input. So essentially, any of the sense organs, we can make that guru. Guru means something we are reproducing the wisdom. So we can reproduce the wisdom. We can say that whatever I am seeing, that's what is the right, and therefore I have made my eye the guru. That the wisdom which I see is guru.
Yeah. Here, let me first give you what I have understood. So when you elaborate on this, it will be more easy for the listener also to get your guidance. Okay, one thing is that you have said about the universal self, which has got a part of the mind, and that is very true, which even has been said into these things also in the Yoga Sutra. Mind has got a consciousness in itself, but it has got the seeds of the desires from the universal self also. And unless the mind will purify from all these things, the essence of that, the consciousness which is that it has got, it cannot be done that, and then only the unique self can be realized. So whenever the mind is connected with the consciousness within itself is there, it will have, and very creative, the things which they will be able to manifest into this, Prakriti, or with the help of Prakriti, they will be able to become more creative about it. That is what my understanding says from your, conversations.
Again, you're absolutely right. And all the things that you have said are on the dot. Let me just elaborate one thing that that you correctly mentioned, that our Yoga Sutras and Indian ancient wisdom and Shastras and scriptures, they clearly mention that the most important element is the mental discipline. So we got to discipline the mind. Why we got to discipline the mind? Because mind is always focused on universalizing itself. And when somebody is focused on universalizing, when somebody is saying that I want to propagate myself and I want to promote myself, I want to demonstrate my abilities to the external universe, then what happens? The growth and maturity of that entity stops. That entity starts behaving like a child, like a son, because they never grow, they never mature, because they were never disciplined. So they remain, the chanchalta of a son remains in the mind. The mind keeps on behaving like a child who is planning different things every moment. And that planning different things becomes our desire. That mind says, what if I am astronaut? What if I am this? What if I am this? What if I consume this? What if I eat this? What if I do this? So mind is always thinking of new things, because that creative force which has been gifted to us, which it didn't have, which has been gifted by the intellect to it. And now mind wants to experiment and try out new things. And so unless we learn how to discipline our mind, that has been the most important focus of the entire Indian tradition.
Yeah. So here, let me, ask you one more question out of my curiosity. Okay.
Sure.
So, universal self, as I told you, is the condensed mind of the where the memories from the evolution till today is that it has got the recording of all our behavior pattern and everything at the same time, the speed and velocity by which we have grown also, and how we can grow into this life also. So that is there. Now, unless we become alert towards ourselves and we start taking up all the desire and purifying ourselves through that desire, like the lotus is can be grown only through the mud only. Same way, this desire has to come, it has to be transformed from that. It has to go through, and the root has to be, connected with the whole university or universe, or the male energy, what you are calling. Okay, so that has to be connected with that, so that it can become and purified, and the mud cannot touch the lotus. Similarly, when the universal self will start, growing into that, where the mind will start, transforming himself, and it will become and creative about it, right?
So that most of the elements that you said is correct, but there's one clarification. So in terms of where the consciousness is coming from, or where the memory resides, now memory resides in several areas, but when you say that everything is recorded, that part is called etheric body. Etheric body means...
One minute. What I said, in the consciousness, the whole, the memory or the mind has been, holded by the consciousness is there, but right now it has been built by the, our unconsciousness, where we are running after what we have called very clearly. If we are following the mind, we are running after this and that, following the things which is not required, instead of where to focus on ourselves.
So, right. So let me clarify again that when I said etheric body, that's actually people have also given the name consciousness body or the soul body. So that etheric body is also called the guru body. So that consciousness body is where the akashic records are there, where the recording of every thought, every desire, everything that we had in all our previous births.
That is called as a causal body.
No, that's not a causal body. That's the etheric body. So the causal body has the potential.
The causal body is carrying this etheric body. Okay, and it has got the causal body, subtle body, and the physical body, they call it. Okay,
no, so I explained last time also that so the causal body is subtler than the etheric body. So when you're talking, so that again, there's 6 important bodies. So one is called physical body, second is the intellectual body, and the mental body. Then, so these 3, the subtle body is the intellectual body. Because that black color, as I said, is subtle. It comes out as a gray color, but actually the subtle part is the intellectual body. And then we come to the next one, is called astral body. So when we die, okay, or even those who know how to do astral projection, so we can astrally project ourselves. That is the astral body. Astral body is come out of star. So it looks like that the star is our body, and the intellect is traveling on that. So that's called astral body. So that's a conscious body. The conscious body becomes conscious from the consciousness. Because there is a cyclic element. The conscious, whatever we are conscious, we put that in our consciousness, and whatever is in our consciousness then makes us conscious. This was is in our consciousness, it's left over, and therefore we need to work on it. So we become conscious of internal elements through our consciousness. We become conscious of external elements, and then we transfer that to the consciousness ourselves. So that consciousness body, so astral body is a conscious body, and it's also called masculine body. And then the next one is the more subtle than that, is called etheric body, which is the consciousness body or the soul body. And then comes the causal body, which is...
I know that. The causal body is a very starting, then the etheric body, whatever.
Yes.
You are, given the 6 these things. I am, overall to understand, like, the people like us who are, started, going into these things are there. Causal body, subtle body, and the physical body. Physical body has got a connection with the manomaya kosha, or the mental body, intellect body. Subtle body has got a connection with the astral body, where many of our sages has tried to do the astral body traveling and wanted to experiment that when we leave our body, still we, the body can be, dead, but still we are alive. For that they are doing the astral body experiment also. That part also, I know that which is through the subtle body it can be done. Okay, and
the best book is the autobiography by Yogananda, Swami Yogananda, which talks about that how he has witnessed a person, many of the Siddhs in India, doing astral body projection and then creating multiple versions of them, and then he met each one of version of them. So that's the astral body can take any form.
Yeah, so that is right now we don't want to involve ourselves into that, because it will be a very deep things are there unless person has moved towards that kind of an maturity. Then it is worth discussing with that. So we have this astral body. Many people has tried for their own experiment when they reach to certain maturity of that. Then the causal body has got 2 things are that etheric body and the causal body itself. Causal body has brought, and whole memories and the desires. unless the desire is there is no evolution is possible, because the whole evolution has taken place out of the desire. But desire has to be grown and not to be resisted. Okay, so etheric body and the causal body, combination of that will give a certain things as a blueprint to the subtle body, and they will support, or they will give an instructions when the speed and the velocity changes to the physical body.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's absolutely correct. There's only one small correction there, that the causal body is the cause. So the cause means potential. So we have a potential for a desire coming out of that consciousness, because that consciousness is a desire.
Very true.
Yes.
That is true. That it comes through the consciousness. The roots is the consciousness. So when they evolved, that's why I've given an example of the lotus.
Right. Absolutely.
Lotus mud is there. It is desired form, or the whatever you put it. I'm not going into the word part of it. We are, as a human being, we have taken in birth as a crude form of this manifestation is there, which is, you may call it as a mud or whatever. Unless we start rooting ourselves into the self and not into the outside, otherwise mind will start wondering what you have said very rightly about it. Okay, but the mind will, but if we are rooted in ourselves, we start realizing our creativity. We can create something of the self also and to the environment also.
Absolutely.
So that is what. And when we evolve from that, we are, taking the dvij or the birth from ourselves, which has purified us because of that consciousness which is available into the causal body or into the mind part of it. I will put it in that way, because that is the words which I am familiar with that. That's the reason. Okay, so this is, very beautifully you have tried to, figure it out. These are the things which is our own resources are there, and how to utilize these resources, that depends upon us. Right? What I have understood?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. So now it will be slightly, for me, I'm becoming familiar with you, so we can move towards the primordial self to the bottom.
Yes. So, and that's the most challenging concept, because what happens is, now let me put a context to this, because you are helping put the context, and therefore it's important to put the context. The context is that when our ancient works in Sanskrit were translated in different languages, in particular English, right? And of course, that English translation proceeded with maybe Latin translations and other kind of translations, and the meanings were lost because the translations were done by people with different motivations. And oftentimes the motivations were not in the best interest of protecting the integrity of Indian wisdom. And therefore, when we say primordial, even though if you look at the dictionary, it becomes very evident, Hindi dictionaries, Sanskrit dictionaries, that primordial means Uttam. But if you look at on Google or some other places, many times the primordial will come as an ancient. Okay, because primordial means something which has a primacy. Because it's Uttam, as I said, if something is Uttam, everybody is producing the quality of the Uttam. So Uttam comes first, and from Uttam comes everyone. So when we say primordial self, so Shri Krishna is the primordial self. Shri Krishna is a Uttam conscious system. So whatever.
Yeah, one minute. Now, the Param self. What you have said that from Param self we have to move towards the primordial self is that.
Yes.
Now, the thing is that in the Param self, we have got and we have brought that essence of the primordial self within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And we have to realize through that Param self that the primordial self is not outside of us but within ourselves, we don't have to run outside, but we have to rotate in ourselves. So that is what you are trying to tell?
No, that's not. I'm trying to tell. This is what Indian wisdom tells us, and that's absolutely correct.
What I have understood and what you are trying to tell me.
Yes, because this is what everybody knows from Indian wisdom, and that's the essential, the fundamental truth of the universe.
Yeah. So what I have said is, I have understood you rightly.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not saying anything different from what our ancient sages have said and what you are saying.
Yeah. I have understood your language correctly, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now, if we have the Param Self, which has in itself it has got the essence of our primordial self or the Paramatma, whatever the self or no self or the emptiness, whatever we put it into that wordings is not an important. If we put it into that way, okay, so that is available within us. So first thing is the wisdom or the creativity which you have explained into the last question, okay, is through that we will start realizing that how that primordial self or the universe itself is present within us through that creativity, through our behavior and through our action. So we need to be more aware of our action part of it, because you have mentioned about the Krishna also. Krishna says about the action part of it.
So so when you say that, of course, the primordial self, the essence of primordial self is within the Param Self. Param Self is what we have become in the present. Param Self means present self, as you also kind of pointed out earlier. So this is what we have become. So this, the difference between who we are and who we have become. So in the present we have become the Param Self. So that's what in the present we are. Presently we are a conscious system. The self is a conscious system. So presently we are conscious of whatever is in the universe, whatever is outside us, and we are somewhat conscious of whatever is within us. So that's the Param Self. We have become the Param Self, but we are truly a primordial self. We are Uttam Self. And when you talk about mud and the purification is that whatever is the present, whatever is becoming evident and obvious, that present is the product of all our desires. So it's a product of contamination of that purity that we have. So we are not impure, our self is not impure, but we have made it impure through our desires, through our desire to universalize ourselves.
Here I would like to say one thing. In that case, when we have a Param Self and we are moving towards the primordial self on its own, the journey is there, it has been destinated, it was given to us, whatever it is there. Okay? But when we are in the present self, is a Param Self is there or whatever it is there, first thing is that we don't have to have any resistance for anything, but in the acceptance, we will be able to see that where we are right now and how we can take the next step towards the self, so that we can move towards the primordial self, because the knowledge or the information we have it, the roadmap we have to create, our roadmap, everybody has to create their own roadmap is there through their present self, wherever they are. It doesn't matter whether they are ahead or these things are that they are right now or we are right now at this point of time. Like if I want to go from Dwarka to Delhi, I have to say exactly, I have to accept that right now I am in Dwarka. I cannot say, imagine that I am in Kerala and I want to go to Delhi. No, I have to say that I am in Dwarka. From the Dwarka, I hope I can reach to Delhi part of it, right?
Absolutely. And that's what our ancient sages talked about, that we need to first understand the present. Unless we understand the present, we won't have the clarity and awareness of what we have become and what things we need to purify. So that present is the starting point, because we don't understand the present. That's the reason why we are never able to realize the primordiality.
And that's what the Krishna was telling to Arjuna, that right now, even though you know everything, you have become unconscious and you want to neglect that. Don't neglect that, because right now your role is there as a these things, universal self or whatever, param self, whatever, to fight without any desire. The thing is that you cannot avoid the war. In the complexity of the life, we cannot avoid the complexity. We all are living into the battlefield of that. But how we live, that makes a difference. If in any circumstances, we become alert, then we cannot have any kind of a non-violence, either by the machoist way or torturing others. The torturing self or the torturing others, it will not be there. So param self or the present self will make us realize that whether we are unconscious or conscious. If we are conscious, then we become creative. We get disidentified with all these attachment or the identifications, and we can move towards the next step, right?
Yes, and there's another term, because param self is also absolute self. So Indian tradition talks about absolutism, because absolutism is important to then realize that whatever is present already, and so that's absolute, and that absolute is now, we don't need to worry about anything else. So if we are connected with the present, then we don't need to worry about is there anything beyond the present. But then from the present we can then go to our potential, to be primordial, to be uttam. So the present is the first point.
Yeah, and as you have said very rightly, you don't have to worry about the past or the future. Means you are getting disidentified with your past or whatever attachment or you have created with the past, and your desire for the future is not there. In the present moment, act and the light, like a scientist. Whenever they are doing any experiment, you must be knowing very well. And whatever the outcome is there, again it will become a resource and the next step towards the, going further into the research development, right?
No, so when we are connected with the present has already that desire, it has already everything in the past. So whatever is the input that we need to process is in the present. So important element is, important element is that we should not be creating new desires. We should not be going, so let's work with what we have instead of creating new things, and then we have to process that in the future present.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you in my own words, so that I get a clarity and the listener also will get a clarity what you are delivering it. Okay, so in the present self, we are present with our desires, with the memories, everything.
Absolutely.
First of all, when we take the action, just be identified with that action and the no expectations of the desire. Like a scientist, when they work on the laboratory, they know that they have to reach to this destination. But whatever the result will come, that will show them the next step, how to move towards that destination is there. Okay?
So there are no new desires. So there are, whatever desires are there, their desires are there. Let's not make any new desires. That's what is the present. Yes.
Yeah. Present self is that I'm taking the action. From that, whatever the outcome is there, that will become my stepping stone for taking the next step is there.
Absolutely.
I'm not deciding right now, or I'm not desiring right now to have a certain way to create my future, but the immediate, the result of my action will tell me how I'm going to take the next step will be there.
Yes,
right?
So there's another easy way that our ancient gurus have mentioned. It's about surrendering ourselves to the absolute consciousness. So absolute consciousness, Paramatma. So Param Atma. So our ancient rishis have said that the very first element for us to progress in our spirituality and maturity is surrender 100% to Paramatma.
Yeah.
So Paramatma is a present consciousness. So absolute surrender everything to the present consciousness. Let's make present consciousness our guide. Let's make the present consciousness our guru, and let's make Paramatma our guru. And Paramatma is then going to help us reach bring our journey to fruition.
And exactly what you have told is very right. Without Paramatma, we will not be able to see what is an outcome and what next step that we have to take. Okay, because that light is so dim within ourselves that unless we are totally, are out of all these identifications or the desire or the whatever we put it, okay, when we take a step into the present moment and we are able to capable of waiting into that, okay, where because there is no identification, there is no thought bombardings are there, we are not moving outward, we know that okay, this is the next step that I have to take it up, okay, and if we can take up the next step, then we become, I mean, like okay, the seed has been disintegrated, it is now allowing the growth to happen on its own by surrendering. What we have told very clearly, that unless the surrendering will happen, the growth is not possible. Well, that is what I have understood, right?
Exactly, but again, present includes the thoughts and everything. So it's not void in the present. It's about being in the present with accepting whatever is in the present, which includes thoughts, memories,
Yeah.
and then.
But in that, the thoughts have a different quality. It has not remained as a thought for the desire, but it has become a thinking, because thinking means what? That this has come, the next step has to be taken. Okay. In that silent moment when we are having, I mean, and contemplation within ourselves, the thinking means the spark of that, that yeah, this is what the next step is, that it will happen. And that is what the difference between the thought and thinking is, that when we are into the present moment, absolutely present self is that, okay, in that we are having all the memories and everything within us, but we are not getting identified with that. We are surrendering to the universe that I am taking the next step and I don't know how to take it up. And with the universal self and harmonizing ourselves with or merging into the universal self, this body will become a vehicle for the universe. And then we take a step, and in that the next step will be visible to us. That is what I have understood.
So now this is where the biggest confusion is, and this is where people have misunderstood our ancient rishis. When we talk about being connected with the present, and when we talk about silence, that silence is silencing new thoughts, silencing new desires, silencing new things which are not connected with the present. So silence is not about sitting in silence.
No, I'm not talking about that silence. I'm against of that. Even if you will hear, the first time when I heard the Osho's voice, I have realized that in his voice the silence was there, and that is what we are searching for outside. Okay, what is the silence? And silence is not sitting into the corner, because that is what Krishna is telling to Arjuna.
Right.
You go to the run away from the battlefield. I have no issue with that. But can you run away from yourself? Because you cannot run away from yourself, because you cannot put a full stop to your thoughts, and you cannot connect yourself with the universe itself.
So what Krishna is telling Arjuna is silent your delusions. So silent your kind of other thoughts, secondary thoughts. You need to your present is to win the war. And that's what is the thought. You already came, and you came to the battlefield with that vision and goal that I will win the war. And now you are creating another kind of layer of desires. So let's silence all those. And once you listen to the voice of whatever is present, you will win.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to. I'm not meaning the silence means keeping mum. And I know that the people who wants to keep the mum, they are through the messages, and nowadays a lot of other things are there. They will be talking only. That is not that kind of silence I'm not talking of. Even if I know that I have to use 2 words, and can I reduce that to the 1.5 words to convey my message? That creates, and thinking process and not the thought process.
Absolutely.
And that is how we become silent within ourselves. We become connected with the self and surrendering to the universe. Whenever I am ready, allow me to take the step what you want me to do it. Okay, and for that I will not carry any kind of interconnectivity of anonymity or violence or anything will be there. It will be the love which you had, I have connected with you through that, the thread of that love. It will present it, the unconditional love or the compassion within me will start, sprouting in my behavior.
Absolutely.
Right? I have
Absolutely.
understood, and now I started understanding you.
Yes. Yes.
That's important. Okay, and now we will take the last question. That how do we strike the balance between the guidance from the external sources and the inner self-learning in our spiritual journey?
So that's a very important question. Now, the Western tradition emphasizes guidance from the external sources. And there's a belief that one is conditioned to sin and make errors because the present has all those desires and everything, and therefore one is naturally mean and in character. So the character is a mean character, and their belief system translates into a behavior system which try to test their belief system, transforming everyone into someone seeking to universalize their unique self. So the apparent illusionary goal is the universal well-being based on one's knowing, and the real goal is that one's well-being based on commanding, controlling rights on whatever the universe is manifesting after trading one's intellectual property. So everybody is concerned about, this is my private intellectual property, this knowledge belongs to me. If you use this knowledge, then you have to pay me royalties, and you become my servant. Okay, so everybody is trying to become infinite. But Eastern tradition emphasizes guidance from inner self-learning, believing that one is omnipotent. Omnipotent means one is present and is aware of everything which is in the present, and therefore has all the power and knows everything there is to know for distinguishing right from wrong by virtue of its uniqueness as all powerful. So these belief system translates into a behavior system where wrong is left in the past, as everyone seeks to choose the path of the right, seeking to discover the unique self from the universal self. So the imaginary goal is one's well-being as the one who is uniquely right all the time, and to materialize one's well-being, one consciously seeks to share whatever we know, whatever Guru knows. Guru tries to share with everyone, and therefore ultimately the Guru becomes a leader and everybody becomes a follower. A leader who is not doing anything, therefore leader is a zero. So Indian Eastern tradition makes one a zero, but Western tradition makes one an infinite. Now, neither being infinite nor becoming zero is a desirable part of our spiritual journey. Therefore, trying to strike a balance between two parts, the path of the left, which is the Western tradition, and the path of the right, which is the Eastern tradition, is the path of the left is who is left with everything, and the path of the right is who has right on nothing, is behaving like a child who wants all or nothing depending on the value you feed him. So if you tell the child nothing gives all the freedom in the world, then child runs after nothing. So if East people say that it's better to live a life of where you have nothing, and therefore the child runs after nothing. If you tell the child everything is needed for freedom in the world, the child runs after everything. Since in the West, parents tell the child that everything is needed, the children in the West are leading the acquisition of multi-billion-dollar wealth. Since the East has been following the West in the Kali Yuga, China and India are also not far behind in idolizing those as role models who have acquired similar wealth. So we have now all becoming westernized.
Yes. Okay, here I will like to say something, and whatever my understanding about your things are there. The Eastern wisdom is telling about to be rooted into the self is there, where the whole universal things are there. There is no need to possess anything. Is there? Everybody has that. Okay, but somehow it has been misinterpreted and it has been converted the beggar mentality into them, that the nothingness is required. While into the Western ideology, if we have to possess everything by taking this all these things, what you have called royalty or whatever you have used the word, that having that the legal this thing from the research paper or something is that everything has to be possessed about it, becoming and more possessive. They have started having and wealth property, and we have got inner property which we cannot explore it, but we have to bring the balance into the both. Okay, we have to utilize our wisdom to create and explore the wealth also. And in our ancient timing, okay, when the rishis were living, there was prosperity was there. It has been told that the way in which the whole Asia was there at that point of time, the Bharat has got, the very, huge, these things were there. And in that, there was, poverty was not there. There was no beggar mentality was there. But somehow, something has, gone by which they had introverted themselves. Either they could not, convey that message to the next generation, and they had become, and kind of an thinking that we don't have to possess anything, but the possession is also required, and digging in oneself is also required, right?
Yes. So now the important element is if you look at Shri Krishna, and even if you look at Sri Ram, Shri Krishna was not Daridra. We know that he was prosperous. So prosperity is the sign of divinity.
Yes, sign of divinity. That is what we have forgotten.
Right. So when people report our in temples, the deities, the gods and goddesses, they're all adorned with a lot of abhushan and everything, and so we also try, and even the ones who have actually witnessed in the invisible realm, the goddesses, they have all well decorated. So they are not daridra. They are not looking like a person who is extremely poor and begging things. So because if somebody is begging, then you are not going to worship that person. There is nothing that person has to give.
Yes.
So in trying to balance that, instead of that, we should try to balance the path which Mahatma Gandhi gave and Shri Krishna gave. What Shri Krishna gave? Shri Krishna said that do path of action, karma marg, to destroy everything wrong. Okay, so when Shri Krishna came, he destroyed the entire collective. So a lot of people would say that he was there, and at that time there was the biggest war of the universe, the Mahabharata war, where everybody was killed. Most of the people died. And that's proven even by the modern science in terms of there was a period in archaeology when the whole masculine genes went away from the earth, from the human descendants. So and lasted for 1500 years, right? So that's well established by the science in terms of the effect of Mahabharata war on genetic makeup, that most of the population of the entire world, male population, died. So why Shri Krishna did that? Shri Krishna said that path of action to destroy everything wrong, kill everybody who is doing anything wrong, which is. So Eklavya's story is instructive, how the institutional practice over time had become self-serving the interest of the elite. And Eklavya was forced to cut off his finger just to serve the interest of the elite. But Mahatma Gandhi said that let's follow the path of reaction to anything wrong. Bura mat dekho, bura mat suno. So we need to react to anything wrong, pointing us to the periphery which the divine light of Shri Krishna is illuminating.
Yeah. Okay. Here I will like to say something what you have said very nicely about that none of our that like a Krishna, Ram, or anybody is there. They were not an poor mental poorly people. They were, abundance consciousness was there. They did not have resistance for the having the empire or ruling or anything was there, and they were, even Dwarka was, Sonaki Lanka was there, okay, and that still, people are able to, archaeologically, people are able to find out that evidences are also that. It is not just, written into the scripture, it is already there. Now, right now, these things are there in our scripture was there, it is given in our scripture. Okay, that you have to create your life which has got, and very comfortable life, or live the life, but whatever the resources are there with that, and grow with that. Okay, so we have to bring that consciousness back, and as you have told certain things, I will like to give you Gandhiji is also right now 50 75 years back, now but if we will see today's scenario, if we will see the way in which Narendra Modi ji is giving, is the he is utilizing each and every resources of the outside or things like that. He is not possessive about that. And the Congress mentality, family mentality to possess everything was that where the development was not possible. And that's the reason. If you will see in the abroad, the key people of the development are there into the any big industry or the wherever you will see, they are the Indian people are there. Why? Because that opportunity was not available into the India due to the political scenario was there. I'm not saying yes or no about it. I'm not criticizing about it. But when the political scenario is now changing, everything has started changing about it. People have started realizing that our potentiality is there, and we have to explore that potentiality is there. So when the few people who has known that potentiality, and they know that that potentiality, unless the wealth is there, they cannot come out of this potentiality. They had went to the abroad, and they had flourished themselves, right?
So you have beautifully explained kind of what balancing means, because as I said, Mahatma Gandhi said path of reaction to anything wrong. He said civil disobedience. If something wrong is happening, don't participate in it. Shri Krishna said path of action to destroy everything wrong. So one is saying that if there is something wrong, run away from it, don't engage. The other one is saying that because we have the power, Mahatma Gandhi is taking perspective of the weak from Dalit. That from a Dalit point of view, kind of you don't have the power to fight the one who is wealthy and who has all the power. So don't follow the command of the wealthy. Just run away from it. Don't participate in the wrong. Shri Krishna is saying that he's coming from this path of strength. So if you have the strength, if you have the capability, if I am with you, in that case, kind of all you need to do is path of action to destroy everything wrong. So what you talked about now is balancing kind of how the current government, how Modi ji is balancing that by saying that let's run away from wrong versus destroy wrong. Let's not do any of those. Let's try to do right. So by balancing those two.
What I'm saying today, he's not want that not of a mind that the political situation will have restrictions on the growth of the surrounding will be there. Due to the political whole things are there, and that's the reason that the intellectual people of the India has to go outside that to know that this potentiality we have it, and unless we have a money, we cannot explore our potentiality is there. And that is where the whole thing why the people are going abroad to develop themselves is because that the resources were available. Now Modi ji is making that resources available into the India so that our intellectual and the resources both can remain over here. That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, and the resources come from development, and that development leads to growth. So essentially the developmental growth is what helps us destroy wrong through our development.
That potentiality can come into the action and they can deliver something to the the world.
Yeah, so essentially what you're saying is that people in India are not connected with the present. So it's like ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So whatever is the present, whatever is present in the ancient scriptures, they have become less important. But whatever is being fed by the Western scientists, Western media, that they're becoming more important.
I'm not saying that. I'm not. What I have said, people who has understood their capacity, but they did not. They found that here the resources will not be available to us. Here the political situations before 10 years was not available to them. Yeah, when the if you will see the Gujarat, after 2002 or so, it has got the resources has started having them. So people has got less interest to go and leave the country in the Gujarat. But if you will see that if the resources are available and if I know my present scenario, my present potentiality is there, I need to go there into that land and I have to work for that potentiality. That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, so essentially the people who are focused on the karma marg, they're realizing that their development is limited in India because
it was, and now it is possible. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to tell you.
Right, right.
There are a lot of factors are there which has created, and shrink our potentiality to connect ourselves with the self, where the self is the, and the intellectual people who knew that they have a potentiality and they need the resources also to flourish with that potentiality, okay, or the resources, outer resources are required. So they had gone abroad to explore their inner potentiality by taking the support of the external, resources are there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And that facility has now made this government, as you have told very rightly, Krishna, and this, look out of, these things of Mahatma Gandhi. But I will say Krishna and Modi's, things will be matching more. These things are there. More are taking the action where both the things has to be flourished, the inner wisdom with the outer resources. Unless the outer resources are there, inner resources will start, having, it will not flourish by itself because it cannot nurture. First thing is they cannot nurture their body itself. Nobody can, live without food or water or anything is there. Nobody can live in the poverty. You're getting my point?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Really thankful to you, Dr. Vipin, for giving me this opportunity to host you on these interactive sessions, and you are very open also for giving me an opportunity to make my language to come onto the same platform with your language, so that I can understand and the listener also can understand you more easily. Thank you very much for that. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dhavanji. Yeah, you are very receptive and perceptive, so it was easy to come to a common parlance. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.